Russell Simmons heads an empire built by rap music. As co-founder of the pioneering record label Def Jam in the 1980s, he helped launch the careers of a number of important artists, including Run DMC and the Beastie Boys. His empire includes a clothing line and even an energy drink. But it's his social activism that has caused some to say he might one day make an ideal mayor of New York City.
Something else that has been helpful, I'm going to turn this to Barack Obama now. You've thrown your support behind him.
Yes.
You know, you've done so much for the youth with regard to creativity. He is doing so much for the youth with politically. What do you make of what he's doing, not only for the youth movement, Russell, but also America? I mean, he's making history on so many levels.
Yeah, we have this mandate. You know, we have to start to be a little less fearful and a little bit more giving. America and the world, you know, it's like when we came out of the ocean, we had to develop a lung. We have to now develop consciousness so much because we are connected and technology is winning out. And if we don't start a real dialogue about conflict resolution, about the environment, about lifting the poor, if we don't start this kind of mission, then we are at risk. You know, our future. And Obama, I see as the candidate who promotes these ideas.
Russell Simmons was born in 1957 in the Jamaica Queensboro in outer New York City. He was the second of 3 sons in his family, and both his parents were graduates of Howard University in Washington, D.C. His father was a teacher who eventually became a professor of Black history at Pace University, and his mother worked for the New York City Parks Department as a recreation director. The Simmons family moved to the Hollis neighborhood of Queens when Simmons was 8 years old. Their home was near a corner that was a known meeting place for drug users and their dealers. His older brother Danny was pulled in by the scene and became a heroin addict. Russell seemed headed down a similarly sad road. He began selling marijuana while still in middle school, and for a time was a member of a local gang called the Seven Immortals. When he was 16, he shot at someone who tried to rob him. He was arrested twice on other charges and received a term of probation. Danny, however, wound up serving a stint in jail for drug use. Black culture or urban culture is for all people who buy into it, and not just for black people. I don't accept the box they put me in, said Russell Simmons. In 1975, when he was 18, Simmons began taking classes at Manhattan City College. He found a job at an Orange Julius outlet in Greenwich Village. But at some point, he also financed his club-going lifestyle by selling fake cocaine. If he was caught by the police, he reasoned, he was not doing anything illegal. But Simmons, of course, faced a bigger threat from angry customers. During these years, he hung out at the dance clubs of New York's outer boroughs, where the music was predominantly disco. But then a new movement filtered in, one that had come out of the roughest Bronx and Harlem neighborhoods. Performers sang their own rhymes over a classic track, such as Flashlight from George Clinton.
Yeah, tomorrow is near, but pretty much remain the same. As I talk about the phrase they call a street game. A street definition, but the boys who cause trouble, yet you catch one alone. They're scared to bust a bubble. Most homeboys we know, I dropped it in the game. It's best to show some love, or you receive pain.
Simmons was at one such club in 1977 when he saw how wild the crowd went over one song from an early rapper and DJ named Eddie Chiba, and he decided that this was the sound of the future.
There was a club, Charles Gallery in Harlem, and there was an artist, Eddie Chiba, and it was before there were rap records, and he was a great performer, and I saw him, and my man was promoting these parties. That was his job, and it, you know, it was could get in the club free, you know, you know, you could, it was, the girls liked the promoter. So it was a good job, you know, and it was I had a little...
Good work if you can get it.
Right. So, but the music, you know, and the artists, the poetry, what they were doing back then was, you know, was something I'd never seen. It inspired me.
Simmons quit the fake drug business and eventually left City College just a few credits short of a degree in sociology. He began promoting concerts and then formed his own management company for artists, which he called Rush Management, after his childhood nickname.
Now, it inspired you to open your first, quote, legitimate business.
That's right.
and that was Rush Productions.
That's right.
Some of the first rap songs ever played on radio were from his acts, including Christmas Rappin' from Curtis Blow. He also managed Houdini. But it was the group that his teenage brother Joey joined back in Hollis that put Simmons and his company on the map. That group was Run DMC.
Our first artist was Curtis Blow. We currently represent like 40, maybe 40 artists, including Curtis Blow, Houdini, LL Cool J, the Beastie Boys, Run DMC, of course, Davey D, Spider D, Sparky D, a long list. They've all had some success, some more than others. I think people, as they hear it more, they understand it more and will appreciate it more. Run DMC has sold over 1 million records. Well, the first album sold 900,000. The second one sold a little over 900,000. This new one has sold over 2.25 million.
The 1985 film Crush Groove was loosely based on Russell Simmons' life up until that point. It featured an array of top music acts from the era, from Run DMC and the Beastie Boys to LL Cool J and a young Bobby Brown when he was still a member of New Edition. It was directed by Michael Schultz, who made 2 earlier cinematic classics of African-American urban life, Cooley High and Car Wash. Simmons was one of the film's producers. 2 decades after its release, Crush Groove has become a cult classic, a snapshot of the early days of rap music, when cultural critics and record company executives predicted the style was simply a fad. A then unknown actor named Blair Underwood was cast in the role of New York City music promoter Russell Walker, owner of the label Crush Groove. One of his acts was a surefire hit, but Walker does not have the funds to press the records and enters into a dangerous financial agreement with local drug dealers and loan sharks. He also battles with one of his stars over another artist, Sheila E., whom both went on to date. The plot of the movie, however, was beside the point. Simmons wanted to showcase the array of young talent emerging from New York's black music scene, and to depict its vibrancy as well. Joey was the Run in Run DMC, which had a spare, hardcore style of rapping that was also full of clever humor and incisive social commentary. The group's first single, It's Like That, was released in 1983 and set the tone for the rest of the decade. Simmons helped to make his brother's group immensely successful, especially after he teamed with a white college student from Long Island by the name of Rick Rubin. They went on to launch Def Jam Records in 1985. With their first office, located in Rubin's dorm room at New York University, they emerged as the first big players on the rap music scene. The label's first single was from LL Cool J, entitled I Need a Beat, and helped bring Simmons and Rubin a distribution deal with CBS Records. During the mid-1980s, Simmons became known for his sharp ear and his ability to predict the next big thing in music. He helped bring the Beastie Boys to a wider audience and even revived the careers of the fading rock act Aerosmith when Run DMC covered their 1975 hit Walk This Way. The two groups even made a video together, which became a classic of MTV's first decade on the air. As Fast Company writer Jennifer Reingold explained, by 2003, the marriage of hard rock and rap seems natural, 2 strands of the same teenage angst and anger. But in the mid-1980s, the idea that black street kids and white suburbanites could like the same music was shocking. Simmons went on to shepherd such performers as Will Smith when he was still the rapper known as Fresh Prince, as well as Public Enemy to mainstream success. When asked by model writer Veronica Webb in an article and interview whether he had invented the rap genre, he said, "No, I didn't invent it," he explained, "but I was the first to believe that the artist was bigger than the song. Other labels believe that artists only live record to record. I didn't have that disco mentality that you threw the artist away after the song hit."
Words. What is hip-hop?
Hip-hop is the name of the cultural expression that comes out of all the people, young people in America, not all, but a great number of young people in America who are living in struggle. And what I'm trying to say by it is that, like jazz or blues or rock and roll, there was a group that was locked out, it had no voice, but was always, influential, but, bought into whatever America sold them. The difference with hip-hop and jazz and blues and rock and roll, it hasn't sold out even after 20 some odd years.
He and Rubin dissolved their business partnership in the late 1980s, but Simmons moved on to conquer audiences elsewhere. In the early 1990s, he launched Def Comedy Jam, which introduced comedians like Martin Lawrence and Bernie Mac, and it became one of the top-rated shows on HBO.
They try to make it seem like black people was doing all that stealing, looting and shit. I ain't gonna lie, I got me some shit. No, but it wasn't black people that was doing all that shit. It was the Mexicans. They just didn't show that. And the Mexicans didn't even know what the cause was about. They just saw an opportunity to get some free shit. Serious, a Mexican came up to me, yo, my friend, this is fucked up. This should never fucking happen. The way they beat Rodney Dangerfield was fucked up.
In 1992, Simmons founded Fat Fashions, a clothing line, which began growing at a rate of about 30% annually over the next decade. Rush Communications became the umbrella group for all of Simmons' ventures. At one point early in the 2000s, these included an energy soda called DEFCON 3, a wireless phone he designed for Motorola that sold for $549, a joint venture with a top Manhattan advertising agency, a sneaker company with his brother, and the Rush Card, a prepaid Visa debit card aimed at the 45 million Americans who do not have checking accounts or access to credit cards. Simmons said the idea for the debit card came after someone suggested the idea of a prepaid phone card. While the pitch he heard sounded profitable, it was also a ripoff for the users. I will turn away a deal because people have dollar signs in their eyes, he told Business Week online writer David Liss. Making money is a pedestrian activity. The challenge is in creating a product or service the world really needs.
No, you know, when you break it down to what makes me happy is like making other people happy. I mean, that's what makes everybody happy. I heard 50 Cent say, do you beep the show? Do you beep it?
We beep it. We beep
You do all the time, right? It's a hip-hop show, right? 50 Cent said what made him happy. He said he wanted everybody to be on his dick. And I thought about that. I was like, wow. What he meant is he wanted everybody to like him, to like his poetry. And that was all he wanted. And he said, get rich or die trying. And he might have thought he only wanted to be rich, but he really wanted to do is inspire people. So I learned that what makes me happy is, you know, making other people happy. And that's the basis, bottom line. That's how you get money. That's how you get ahead in the life. That's how you do everything that you do. So I learned that. You know, I read that somewhere in Scripture, but it's something that everybody lives by. It's unbreakable law.
As committed as he is to building an empire that keeps him at the top of the lists of black-owned entertainment companies in America, Simmons is also interested in moving forward on several new fronts. He launched the Def Poetry Jam, which was also carried by HBO, and even became a Tony Award-winning Broadway show in 2003.
I have two poems. One poem is older, and one poem I just wrote backstage. Which one would you like to hear? Wait, how many for the old one? How many for the new one? All right, so remember, if it sucks, you ask for it. One night at 3 a.m., I went to the corner store. I forgot why. Oh, that's right, I wanted a bite. I had the munchies because I was high. The store is owned by Mr. Fong, and every day he sees me, he does me wrong. He's Korean. Now, I'd never say I hate all Korean people. I haven't met all Korean people. That hate talks for savages. But even though I don't generalize, I do percentages and averages. So far, I hate 1 out of 5 Korean people I've met so far.
And he serves as board chair of the Hip Hop Summit Action Network. The summits are held in various American cities, and mayors regularly appear along with special guests such as Snoop Dogg. They aim to raise political awareness among young Americans and also serve as a voter registration event. Simmons sold his remaining stake in Def Jam in 1999 for $120 million. 4 years later, His empire was estimated to be bringing in sales of $530 million annually. Much of that came from his clothing line, which he expanded with his former wife, former model Kimora Lee Simmons, to include Baby Phat and Phat Farm Kids. They sold a stake in their company in early 2004 for $140 million in an attempt to bring it into more department and specialty stores. When I started, he told New York writer Vanessa Gregoriadis in 1998, they wanted to put me in the ethnic part of the department store, but Phat Farm's best-selling item is a pink golf sweater. It's not a grass skirt or a dashiki. Since then, Simmons has made Phat Farm competitive with such clothing lines as Polo Ralph Lauren and Tommy Hilfiger. In his 2002 autobiography, Life and Death, Sex, Drugs, Money, and God, Simmons recounts his business successes and the personal philosophies that keep him grounded. A vegan, he practices yoga daily and makes all his employees read The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success by Deepak Chopra and then submit a report on the book. Some of his top executives began as interns at the company long ago. I surround myself with people that share the same spirituality that I believe in, he told Liss. People who are focused on living better and not just on being out for themselves. I want to be around people who aren't just money-oriented, but are focused on how they can give back to the community. Simmons enjoys a lifestyle that mirrors that of the most successful of his music legends, but it is also one that puts him in the same categories as corporate New York's biggest players. He is recently divorced from Kimora Lee Simmons, with whom he shares 2 beautiful daughters, Ming Lee and Aoki. He has an office on the 43rd floor of a midtown Manhattan skyscraper, spends summer vacations in the Hamptons, and lives in a 35,000 square foot mansion in Saddle River, New Jersey. He and his former wife hosted a fundraiser for Hillary Clinton during her successful bid for a New York State Senate seat in 2002. And he has also worked to overturn the harsh New York State statutes known as the Rockefeller drug laws.
A lot about the Rockefeller drug laws.
You've been, not only that, you've been putting these commercials on television and everything else, right? Wasn't that you?
Yeah, but I figure it's our right to educate the masses on that issue.
The idea is to show what the Rockefeller drug laws have done and how many people are in prison because of 3 times and you're out, an idea.
Well, it's not 3 times and you're out. You can get out 1 time. You can get arrested selling 1 dime bag of crack, and you can stay there for 15 years.
Okay, but the whole range of them, the one that...
Yeah, just very tough laws, very tough laws, 30 years old. Right. And those laws are 30 years old, they're unjust, and for 3 terms, Governor Pataki has been trying to change them.
Right.
These date back to 1973 and the term of Governor Nelson Rockefeller and forced courts to give even first-time drug users long jail terms. Simmons has met with New York Governor George E. Pataki and has traveled often to the state capitol in Albany to convince legislatures to replace these laws with more balanced sentencing guidelines. Governor Pataki is just one of many high-profile New Yorkers who respect Simmons. According to Newsweek's Roberts, fellow rap mogul Sean P. Diddy Combs said that Russell is raising the bar for us with our power to be responsible, not just for ourselves, but for our people. Real estate mogul Donald Trump told Reingold that I considered him one of the great entrepreneurs out there today. He's a fabulous guy with a tremendous understanding of business. Simmons is sometimes mentioned as a future New York mayoral candidate, but he claims to have no political ambitions other than using his platform to raise awareness about timely issues. These range from the war in Iraq to the New York City school budget. I'm not telling people anything that's a shock, he said in an Inc. interview with Rod Kurtz. Maybe I'm telling them things they've already heard before, but maybe because of my luck and success, they believe me. Russell Simmons, innovator, political activist, and the godfather of hip-hop.
There's a thing inside each one of us that connects us all. When we achieve union with that thing, then it gives us even superhuman powers. That's the thing that gets you ahead in the world. That's the thing that allows you the freedom to become a good giver. When you're a great giver, you're a good getter. And all of us want to achieve or change our environment, when you change yourself, the world around you changes instantly. And as the world changes instantly to whatever you imagine, you become more powerful and a greater giver.
Yo, what's up, y'all? It's your boy P. Diddy. Just telling y'all a little bit about myself, how I got started in the game. You know, ever since I was a kid coming up, you know, from a child, like, I always loved music, always loved dancing, always loved just singing and entertaining.
Diddy, the biggest hip-hop impresario of the mid-90s, Sean Puffy Combs, or Puff Daddy as he was known on his own musical projects, created a multi-million-dollar industry around bad boy entertainment, with recordings by the Notorious B.I.G., Craig Mack, Faith Evans, 112 in total, all produced and masterminded by Combs himself. Responsible for over $100 million in total record sales, and named ASCAP's 1996 Songwriter of the Year, Combs was, on the other hand, criticized by many in the hip-hop community for watering down the sound of the underground, and also for a perceived over-reliance on samples, as practically the sole basis for many of his hits. A very successful A&R executive at Uptown Records during the early 90s, responsible for sizable hit records by Father MC, Mary J. Blige, and Jodeci, Combs formed his own bad boy label, signed Notorious B.I.G., Evans, and Craig Mack, and earned enough hits to cement an alliance with Arista Records, a highly publicized feud with Death Row Records, in which Tupac Shakur and label head Suge Knight served as the West Coast equivalents to the Notorious B.I.G. and Combs, was ended in late 1996, when Shakur was murdered and Knight was jailed. 6 months later, Notorious B.I.G. was dead as well, and after Combs mourned his friend's death, he hit the pop charts in a big way during his biggest year, 1997. Born in Harlem in 1970, Sean Combs spent much of his childhood in nearby Mount Vernon, New York, already a shrewd businessman through his two paper routes.
And so I went out looking for a job, and people were telling me, you can't work yet, son, you have to wait till, you know, you're 12 years old, 13. And so I came devised a plan that I knew the guy that was having the paper route in my neighborhood, and you know, I knew that they were allowed to give the paper route to whoever they wanted to. And I said, you know, if you give it to me, we can still have it on the books that you're delivering it, and I will send you 50% of the profits.
Combs applied to Howard University in Washington, D.C., and while attending, convinced childhood friend Heavy D to sign him up as an intern at the record label he recorded for, Uptown Records.
And all my favorite records were made by Uptown Records. They had Guy, Heavy D, Al B. Shaw, and all my other favorite records were made by Def Jam. So I called both those record companies every day, and I said, you know, I want to work for free. I want an internship. At that time, they didn't really know what an internship was. I heard about the term internship from the pre-med students that I was in college with, and they would go and work for free, but gain knowledge through their experiences. So I explained that to the record companies, and I had a meeting with Leo Cohen. And at the meeting, you know, he was like, what are you doing here? And what would you like to do? And then he said, okay, call me back. And I called him back. I could never get him back on the phone. And then I had the same meeting with Andre Harrell. And he was like, well, if you want to work for free, you came to the right place.
Several months later, he was an A&R executive with his sights set on the vice presidency, serving as the executive producer for Father MC's 1990 album Father's Day, which became a hit. Successful albums followed for Mary J. Blige and Heavy D and the Boys in 1992, but Combs was fired from Uptown the following year, probably because he was too ambitious. He worked as a remixer during 1993 and set up Bad Boy Entertainment as his own venture, running the label out of his apartment during long hours with only several employees. After more than a year of hard work, he finally signed two hit artists, former EPMD roadie Craig Mack and the Notorious B.I.G. Mack hit the big time in mid-1994 when a remix of his Flava in Your Ear single featuring LL Cool J, Busta Rhymes, Rampage, and Notorious B.I.G. hit the top 10 and became the first platinum record for Bad Boy. B.I.G. notched the second at the beginning of 1995 when his own second hit, Big Papa, reached number 6 on the pop charts. Mac's album, Project Funk the World, eventually went gold, and Notorious B.I.G.'s Ready to Die was certified double platinum. Sean Puffy Combs began branching out Bad Boy during 1995, adding platinum R&B acts Faith Evans and Total, both of whom were connected to B.I.G., Evans as his wife, and Total as his former backing vocal group, plus another platinum seller, 112, in 1996. He also produced for many outside artists, including Aretha Franklin, Boyz II Men, Mariah Carey, TLC, SWV, and Lil' Kim, and added 2 straight-ahead hip-hop acts, Mace and The Lox. By that time, however, Combs and B.I.G. were embroiled in a feud with Death Row Records head Suge Knight and their star Tupac Shakur.
This bullshit about the East Coast and the West Coast started when we went out to New York to do the Source Awards. And Mr. Knight went on stage, and he's in New York City, and we all know Puffy's from New York City.
Any artists out there want to be an artist and want to stay a star, and don't want to have to worry about the executive producer trying to be all in the videos, all on the record, dancing, come to Death Row.
I mean, the whole crowd started booing, and man, I thought to myself, like, why would you do that?
The East Coast don't love Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg. The East Coast ain't got no love for Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg and Death Row. Y'all don't love us. Y'all don't love us. Well, let it be known then. We know y'all East Coast. We know we at East Coast and F. I'm the executive producer that a comment was made about a little bit earlier. But check this out. Contrary to what other people may feel, I would like to say that I'm very proud of Dr. Dre, of Death Row, and Suge Knight for their accomplishments. And all this East and West that needs to stop.
Shakur accused Combs of involvement in his 1994 shooting, mocked B.I.G. by saying he had slept with Faith Evans, and threatened the two in the lyrics to his hit song, Hit 'Em Up.
I ain't got no motherfucker.
So I fucked your bitch.
The video for the track featured 2 characters, P.I.G. and Buffy, who are humiliated in various ways.
People think I just got out of jail was like just because I got shot on the East Coast, I'm like, fuck the East Coast. You know, half the rappers from the East Coast was there when I got shot. Nobody knew a thing. That's just like you come into the hood and the police ask them what happened, and everybody's like, I don't know. You know they lying. And all I was doing was like, give me my proper etiquette. If Biggie was out here on the West Coast, he was in the studio with me and we homeboys, and he got shot, no, I wouldn't tell him who did it, but I wouldn't go ride on niggas who did it, but he wanted to know who did it. Then I'd be like, look, man, these niggas from Watts did it. Boom, this is why they want to talk to you. When. That's how I do it. Just like when the niggas from the 60s wanted to get a stretch. I went to them personally and talked to them. I do it by the rules of etiquette. So I got shot. I'm like, yo, what happened? Come see me in jail. Biggie all in the air to my ear, Pop is my homeboy Woom, but not seeing me. My homeboy Stretch is going to Biggie's concerts. Niggas is like abandoning me. But all in the air and on TV, they like, yeah, Pop, rest, keep the struggle on. I was like, yo, I'm starting to turn into like Slick Rick. Niggas is just gonna act like I'm gonna just be in jail and they gonna give me shout outs and try to take my position. And if you watch, that's what Biggie did. Listen to it. I was there, nigga. I trained the nigga. He used to be under me like my lieutenant. The nigga, I used to come to New York. I used to do shows and let the nigga come on before I did Keep Your Head Up and Get Around. Because nobody knew the nigga in New York. And I used to tell the nigga, yo, if you want to make your money, you gotta rap for the bitches. Do not rap for the niggas. I told the nigga, don't rap for the niggas. Rap for the bitches. The bitches will buy your records and the niggas want what the bitches want. So all of a sudden he changed from being listen to party and bullshit. Listen to his style. He changed from that to Big Papa.
In September 1996, however, Shakur was shot and killed by unknown assailants. Just 6 months later, in March of 1997, B.I.G. himself was killed in the same fashion. Just 3 weeks later, his second album debuted at #1 and was eventually certified 6 times platinum. The single Hypnotize also hit #1 and stayed on the charts for months after B.I.G. was killed. Though Combs had been preparing his own solo debut under the name Puff Daddy, he quit working for several months out of grief for his longtime friend
During this time, I lost my friend and my biggest recording artist, Notorious B.I.G. And during this time, before he had passed away, I started making my own records. So I put out the Benjamins and Can't Nobody Hold Me Down. So while Biggie was alive, I had 2 hit records, and Biggie was like my manager. So that was the whole thing. We were just having fun.
When he returned in mid-1997, it was with a vengeance, as the single Can't Nobody Hold Me Down held the top spot on the singles charts for almost 2 months. Following quickly behind was another monster #1 hit, I'll Be Missing You, a tender tribute to Notorious B.I.G., with Faith Evans providing background vocals. Combs' subsequent LP as Puff Daddy, No Way Out, shot straight to #1 and was certified platinum several times over. In 1998, it won the Grammy Award for Best Rap Album, and I'll Be Missing You won the award for Best Rap Performance by a Duo or Group. Forever followed in 1999, but the rushed release and lack of any new ideas disappointed fans, and the sales reflected this sudden shift in opinion. Suddenly, Puff Daddy was considered a celebrity in the public eye before he was thought of as a musician, something that he hadn't anticipated, judging by the promotional push the album was given. On top of that, on April 15th of that year, he was accused of severely beating Interscope Records exec Steve Stout and was brought to court for the incident. According to Stout, things got ugly when Puff Daddy decided he no longer wanted to be shown crucified in a Nas video he had filmed earlier in the year. Stout was Nas's manager and left the offending images in the video, which prompted Puffy to visit him in his office. Both parties admitted to the assault, although Puffy downplayed Stout's broken arm and jaw as fake injuries. As he waited for the court date to appear, he lost the locks from his Bad Boy label when they complained to the public loudly enough about their desire to leave their business situation. Puffy managed to get his sentence trimmed down to second-degree harassment when he finally reached the courts in September, much to his detractors' dismay. He was forced into a one-day anger management class and faced no other charges. But the public disdain for Puffy reached new heights when his recording studio was assaulted with gunfire during a recording session with Lil' Kim and Lil' Cease. Rumors flew as to why the gunfire took place, but no solution was ever offered. More controversy started brewing when his relationship with singer-actress Jennifer Lopez was made public around the same time. The rumor that the two were engaged haunted them for a few months, but the real problems began when the two were present for a shooting at a New York City club that December. The couple were brought in for questioning, eventually leading to both of them facing charges for illegal possession of a firearm. A stolen gun was found in their vehicle, which sped away after the incident took place. 2 other members of their entourage were charged, but Lopez was let go after the evidence was reviewed. They claimed to be the victims of circumstance once Puffy was released on bail, but one of the bouncers from the club turned around and hit the accused with a $100 million lawsuit due to gunshot injuries. Puffy testified in front of a grand jury because of the incident, but Lopez was never called to speak, despite being asked to be present. Magazines began to attack their relationship, claiming that the couple was on the rocks and that Lopez was worried about her reputation. Meanwhile, rapper Shine was indicted for the incident, but Puffy was not dismissed because of the weapon situation. He decided to flex his financial and social power while awaiting his fame, calling in powerhouse lawyers and even the Reverend Jesse Jackson to work on his behalf. Despite his stance, he was indicted on the charges, prompting him to react with a not guilty plea. Lopez finally announced her support for the rapper after a strangely quiet period. And in a bizarre move, he also donated a large sum of money to Hillary Clinton's senatorial campaign. His European tour was on the brink of cancellation due to the strict bail situation they began to implement, and then the district attorney hit him with a bribery charge. He claimed that Puff Daddy tried to bribe his driver into taking the blame for the weapons charge, and again, Puffy denied the accusation. He managed to pull off his tour overseas, only to return home to find his lawyers trying to have the charges dismissed. A party thrown by Puffy and rapper Heavy D 10 years earlier came back to haunt him, as one of the teenagers present sued him for leaving her with post-traumatic stress syndrome and Graves' disease stemming from the incident. He settled out of court for an undisclosed amount of money that July, but around the same time, he was hit with yet another lawsuit. He was accused of sampling a phone conversation without permission, along with several other musicians who worked on the track. Puffy's trial date for the club shooting was finally set for January of 2001, while October found two new lawsuits facing the rapper. First, his driver sued for $3 million due to personal injury and stress, followed by a $1.8 million suit from the club owner stemming from poor business following the shooting. The publicity had reached such a fevered pitch that the judge placed a gag order on all the involved parties, claiming that no one had a right to speak about the trial until the event was over. Lead witnesses, including a high-profile shooting victim, claimed that they witnessed Puffy brandish the gun at the club, while his lawyers attempted to halt the jury selection when January finally rolled around. The judge denied the request, and by the end of the month, the trial had begun. Meanwhile, two more lawsuits appeared on the horizon as the witnesses began to take the stands. First, a talent agency sued Puff Daddy for unfair competition after he supposedly snatched the group Dream out from under them for his label. Soon after that, a new lawsuit appeared in Beverly Hills when a woman renting a house from the rapper claimed that it was infested with vermin and remained without repair despite her request for him to fix it. Meanwhile, Lopez remained in the picture throughout, supporting Puffy and even maintaining that she would speak on his behalf during the trial. Puffy began handing out lawsuits of his own, suing a writer who bailed out of an agreement to help him write his autobiography the previous year. But heartbreak hit the rapper on Valentine's Day, when Lopez broke off their relationship despite a prearranged personal concert from Luther Vandross himself. A planned gospel album was pushed back to a summer release during the mess. But by March, some good news finally hit the bad boy camp. Puffy was acquitted of all charges stemming from the club incident, which also snuffed out the civil suits revolving around his involvement in the club situation. He was so convinced that no one would ever want to hear his name again after the media circus revolving around the trial, he announced that he was changing his professional name to P. Diddy at the end of the month. He forecasted a new direction for himself and his label, promising an emphasis on performance and a downplaying of their previous bravado. A Michigan television show host threw another lawsuit at the rapper regarding an alleged assault from 1999, and somehow, he managed to get arrested in Florida for driving on a suspended license. It was actually just a minor legal snafu, but it didn't help his public image after his last year of bad publicity. By the summer, he'd managed to release his gospel album, Thank You, as well as a new solo album, The Saga Continues. More legal trouble appeared, this time in the form of a reckless driving accusation thrown at the rapper by Miami police, although they also asked that he just show up to talk to them, not so he could be arrested. Meanwhile, Bad Boy for Life became his biggest hit in years late in the summer.
Hey, how you doing? Puffy? Or Diddy? Papa Diddy Pop? I'm sorry, I don't know what you're calling yourself these days, but Mr. Daddy. Listen, glad you're here in the neighborhood. Welcome. But this golf balls through the window? It's not gonna fly, all right? That happens once, then it doesn't happen again. Understand what I'm saying? Sorry, dog, okay? Just want to clear that up because I'm a big fan. I love your music. Enjoy the whole, I love that whole thing. All right, good. And listen, if you're having one of your crazy house party things, shout me a holla down.
And a collaboration with David Bowie appeared on the Training Day movie soundtrack. The fall went by without a hitch, and by December, P. Diddy agreed to open several dates for Britney Spears in a truly bizarre pairing. He also ended up doing a few opening slots for NSYNC during their world tour, but he took a serious blow later in the spring when Arista Records stopped distributing Bad Boy Records and took Faith Evans with them. 112 attempted to also jump ship to Def Jam, but Puffy filed a restraining order before the group could make a clean break. Despite such a relatively short career, Puff Daddy / P. Diddy has managed to stay on top, using a clever blend of media controversy and catchy singles. Although his talents as a musician are often up for debate, his public relations skills are virtually unmatched, and his business sense is impeccable.
Really living my dream come true, man, of just being a young black entrepreneur and just try to show the world, try to show my people that we could do it if we put the time behind it, put the work behind it. And, I just feel like I'm a living testament to people. If you dream and you believe, you could accomplish anything you want to accomplish.
Damon Dash, CEO of Rockefeller Records, Rockwear Clothing, Norma Del Vaca, America Magazine, Dash Films, Rockefeller Films.
Damon Dash founded Dash Entertainment with his cousin Darian Dash at the age of 19. He founded Rockefeller Records with Kareem Biggs Burke and Jay-Z, and later started the Rockaware clothing line in Rockefeller Films. In 1998, he produced Jay-Z's album Hard Knock Life Volume 2, produced the films Streets is Watching and Backstage, and in 1999, organized the Hard Knock Life Tour with Jay-Z, Redman, DMX, and Method Man. In 1998, when rap surpassed country to become the third best-selling music genre behind R&B and rock, a spotlight was cast on rap industry executives. It's become part of the hip-hop culture now to become a business mogul. L. Londell McMillan, an entertainment attorney, told Black Enterprise, "Unlike other music genre executives, those in the business of rap and hip-hop were quick to sell not just records, but to market a culture."
The brand Rockwear reaches the whole planet. It starts from a hip-hop individual, but it's colorless, it's quality, which translates into being timeless. As you see, we do different things that we're not expected to do. Had Naomi Campbell, Victoria Beckham spearhead our campaign. Now we got Omira, the girl from the Change Clothes and Go video, supermodel. All my artist support. We're lifestyle, but the lifestyle we portray is being intelligent, being positive, all about getting money, being on your grind 100%, being fresh to death, popping tags, and just being a rock star, colorless, and accepted by all walks of life. We started about 4 or 5 years ago, around the Hard Knock Life tour. I was a little aggravated because Iceberg wouldn't give us our props for making their business. Jay-Z was talking about Iceberg, and then we had the whole urban market wearing it. They didn't want to pay us. They didn't want us to do a campaign. They didn't want to have really nothing to do with the urban market. So it kind of bothered me. So I said, you know what? Instead of endorsing other brands, I'm endorsing my own. We put one together, and then all of a sudden now Iceberg and all these other clothing companies now want to exploit the culture, even though they're not from it. But they have to appreciate the marketing dollars. Because I know I took a lot of money out their pocket. So I don't want to say that was the main reason why I decided to start Rockwear, but it was one of the reasons why I went at it so feverishly. And how come I decided once I get in that game, I'm not going to stop. I'm going to make it bigger and better. And I want to be bigger than Ralph Lauren and Calvin Klein and Tommy Hilfiger. I should be. I'm of the culture. And also I transition into other cultures. See, Ronson line is good, colorless. So, that's basically the history.
With a diverse spread of film interests, a successful clothing line, and other marketing tie-ins, in addition to backing multi-platinum records, Damon Dash has become one of music's most prominent moguls. As CEO of Rockefeller Records, the Rockefeller Film Division, and the Rockaware Clothing Company, "I'm a millionaire after taxes," Dash said in an interview with Black Enterprise. Though he was raised in Harlem, Dash was a scholarship student for a time at the South Kent School in Connecticut. He got his start in the entertainment business at age 19 when he and his cousin, Darian Dash, started Dash Entertainment, an artist management company. After finding record company executives uninterested in their ideas or artists, the pair, frustrated, quit the business. Rockefeller's most prominent artist has emerged in Brooklyn-raised rapper Jay-Z. Dash met struggling rapper Jay-Z after the dissolution of Dash Entertainment, and the two became fast friends.
I met Jay through Clark Kent.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But you know, to me, like, you know, back then Harlem niggas and Brooklyn niggas were extremely different. But he didn't act as different. You know what I mean? There was a little difference, but it wasn't as much. Right. So it was like you got the best of Harlem at the time. I thought the best of Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying? And we kind of had the same ideals in common. You know what I'm saying? So it was almost like if you know, Jay Swagger was kind of a Harlem swagger. And that's because he was around Harlem niggas. You know what I'm saying?
Dash became the rapper's manager, but couldn't get him signed to a record deal. Finally, they decided they had better insight into how to market urban music and style, according to writer Charles Whitaker and Ebony. We knew that people liked our music and were imitating our style, the way we dressed, Dash told Ebony. So from the start, we said we wanted a company that would promote that urban culture to a mass audience. They wanted to do it all: music, clothes, film, and believed they could do it better than a lot of the competition. So Dash, Jay-Z, and third partner Kareem Biggs Burke put their money together, pressed some records on their own, and secured a distribution deal, launching Rockefeller Records in 1995. After the independent album went gold, selling 500,000 copies, the same record companies that had turned down Dash and Jay-Z were now eager to do business with them. When record companies were first courting us, they came to me with a nigga deal where they make you think you own a label and you really don't, Dash told Black Enterprise. I wanted a joint venture because I knew I was going to be successful and the equity would be worth something down the line. In most joint venture arrangements, major labels retain more power, but Dash finally struck a joint venture deal with Def Jam Records, in which Rockefeller owns one half the master tapes of all recordings.
I found myself yelling when I didn't want to. It ain't really good for you, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, what had to be done, had to be done. You know what I'm saying? Like, Beanie's supposed to go out there to London and introduce state property on another somebody else. Like, I canceled the whole London thing because I had Beanie and Cam go out there, but I was getting no support. I had to pay $5,000 in press. And the party and the Concord and everything, that's what everything was $45,000. Wait a second, if I sell records, right, your pressure turns into beautiful bliss. I'm under fucking pressure. I'm still the one that has to fucking maintain a certain average and sell a certain amount of records so I can get the rest of our check. I'm under pressure. You're under pressure for ego. I'm under pressure for dough. You don't understand is that your people, your machine is not very fucking helpful. Every time I'm trying to do something, they're always trying to, what you've taught them to do is try to preserve the brand of Def Jam at any means necessary, even lying. And then when I figure out what's going on, I have to backtrack and fix everything. So it don't even matter whether they spend money or not. It'll just be a bust. I'll be asked out whether we spend the money or not. We have to sell records, and these are things I need to make it happen. I have confidence that it will. I think Cam could potentially do 2 or 3 million records this pop. Because and if not, we built him to be one of the most, he's gonna run radio, B. We never had radio like this. Do you see the progression that's going on? And we're gonna sell the records to compensate for it. It ain't gonna just be Cameron Smith money was better selling the records.
Since its start, Rockefeller Records has produced 8 albums that have earned either gold or multi-platinum status. Dash also was not going to give away the upper hand in setting up his and Jay-Z's clothing line, Rockaware. Rather than license the name to a manufacturer, he found a New York manufacturer who would go into business 50-50 with him. I may not know how to manufacture and design clothing, but I have a brand that I can bring to it, Dash told Black Enterprise. Though many Jay-Z fans could be seen sporting Rockaware gear, it's been more about the clothes and the quality than the artist, Dash said in an interview with USA Today. People look at the clothes as being good clothes, as opposed to being Jay-Z's line. That might have gotten their curiosity going, but it's not that easy. You have to make quality clothes to stay in the business. That said, Dash admitted that a lower-level artist than Jay-Z might not have been able to launch a successful clothing line. He told USA Today that only a few artists are influential enough and business savvy enough to make it lucrative for them. The line was targeted at males between 14 and 30 years old and included men's clothes in the $23 to $600 price range. Kids' clothes ran from $15 to $60. The clothes were predominantly denim, with a selection of t-shirts, sweatshirts, sweaters, jackets, leather, and accessories. After launching in 1999, Rockaware reportedly did $100 million in sales in 2000, putting it in competition with Def Jam founder and rival Russell Simmons' Fat Farm line, as well as more high-profile lines by such designers as Calvin Klein and Tommy Hilfiger. Dash road-tested the Rockefeller brand name in 1999 with the Hard Knock Life Tour, a 50-city large arena tour headlined by Jay-Z and featuring Redman, DMX, and Method Man. Though he encountered resistance because of the perceived threat of violence at the events, Dash researched every detail, and the tour was notable for its lack of incidents among fans and performers. The artist played to mostly sold-out crowds, and the tour broke rap genre records for ticket sales. The tour reportedly grossed over $13.7 million, ranking it at number 10 in sales for the first half of 1999. Despite having to fight for attention as an unknown film producer in the Hollywood establishment, Dash launched Rockefeller Films in 1998. Dash's goal with the production company was to create urban films that did not glorify sex and violence, but illustrated the consequences of his character's actions. Dash turned out two reasonably successful straight-to-video films, Streets is Watching, the semi-autobiographical movie based on Jay-Z's songs, and the concert documentary Backstage, which went behind the scenes of the Hard Knock Life tour. Boston Globe critic Lauren King called Backstage a gritty and freewheeling documentary. The film follows the artists of the Hard Knock Life tour with a raw, behind-the-scenes peek that strips away preconceptions, often stereotypical and judgmental, about the rappers, King wrote, revealing the drive, brains, anger, pain, and humanity of the urban hip-hop scene. New York Times critic Elvis Mitchell wrote that the film captures the standard life of revelry and exhaustion that is typical of concert music, as well as the performer's awareness of the way rappers are perceived. Mitchell summed up, "Backstage isn't as good as the rap documentaries Rhyme and Reason and The Show, but it still casts a keen, observant eye, even though video fatigue sets in on this world."
Also, a thing that's very disheartening is it seems like the community of black people only go for self within the corporate infrastructure, and they just shit on each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, you would think a guy like me, the rest of the community would embrace because I'm fighting for the underdog. You know what I'm saying? But I notice a lot of the black people that are in a position to help only help themselves. You know what I'm saying? And I honestly think that's not fair. That's why, like, if my man Fendi's doing something, I know Fendi for so many years, how I'm not going to do something for him? How I'm going to tell him no? It ain't no way I could tell a friend of mine no. If he's not making me sacrifice no integrity, of course I'm going to help him get where he got to go. And I know how many doors was closed on me, so I'm going to open the doors anytime I can, but I'm not noticing everybody else doing that. I'm noticing a lot of people just truly going for self. And really, and the most disheartening thing is, like, when you get to a corporate level, you fighting for corporate. So corporate's telling you what to do, and they never doing what's in the better interest of, you know, us on the other side. You know what I mean? I could have easily been absorbed by the corporate infrastructure, but I'm not going to play that game because I'm not going to exploit my culture or my community or the people without making sure they get money. So I've always fought for, you know, the smaller individual. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, you got to watch that, and you got to look at the way people treat other people. Like, I don't judge people by the way they treat me, because a lot of people have a fear of me. So of course they're going to carry me a certain way. But sometimes I watch how they carry other people, and based on that, I'm like, yo, this dude is a scumbag. This nigga's a liar. He's a snitch. He don't give a fuck about nobody but himself. You know what I'm saying? Your man Steve Stout, I don't like the fact that every time someone wants to sue me, he goes and gets the lawyer for him. I think that's some corny shit. Suing niggas to me is corny. You know what I'm saying? Getting order of protections are corny. I don't like that shit. You know what I'm saying? And he did the same shit to Jake. So that's why I have a problem with him. I don't be running around screaming on him, but yo, somebody's trying to sue me. I hear he's the one getting the lawyer. I'll be like, damn, what kind of shit is that? He supposed to be like, what you doing? You know what I'm saying? But that's the thing. You got to think, you know, you got to live by the ideals. Maybe he doesn't know no better. I guess he's a civilian, but he better stop playing all the time. It's not right. You know what I'm saying? So
Who's getting the lawyer?
Well, Stout always gets the lawyer. Like, if somebody trying to sue me, they be like, who got you the lawyer? The consultant is always Steve Stout. When Holmes was suing Jay for that incident, he got the dude the lawyer, got under the lawyer. Same lawyer he got to get this nigga Smokey to try to sue me. And I'm like, damn, what part of the game is that? Like, you know, not only is it just wrong, it's like, damn, mind your business, man. Damn, you know what I'm saying? So that's the part that gets disheartening. You know what I mean? You never know what else is going on behind closed doors, the shit that I don't know about. And running and telling the newspaper and all that is corny. You know what I'm saying? It's corny. And I think, you know, a lot of people forgive more than I got to give a big shout out to Puffy, because I see him hanging out with stuff like, damn, you hang out with that dude after he sued you? You know what I'm saying? After he testified, try to put niggas in jail? That shit bugs me out. You know how niggas can run do the snitch, but like I say, he got a bigger heart than me. So big shout out to him, you know what I'm saying, for forgiving. I just can't forgive snitching, because where I'm from, that's the worst thing on the planet, is to talk to the police and testify and all that. And I can't get money. I don't care how much money it is. Nigga got $1 billion. I mean, it's stupid, but that's the way I am. He got $1 billion for it. He's a snitch. I don't want nothing from him. He ain't got to get me no money. And that's really that.
Even though he's fallen on hard times lately, losing Rockefeller Records to Jay-Z, along with many of his artists, including Kanye West, Dash's ambition and business acumen have helped him succeed in a variety of endeavors.
I look in the magazine and I see everybody with Jay. I'm like, how did that happen? Like, state property, you got Clue, you got, I mean, how did everybody end up with him?
To me, the way it ended was corny as it stood. But to go to the artist and say you gotta choose a side is way whack. You know what I'm saying? And that wasn't my intent. And all I offered everyone else was, yo, it ain't no more Rockefeller, you know, the old Rockefeller. So all I can do really is help y'all set up your own situations. Right. You know what I'm saying? So in the instance of Bleak, I mean, he got the role with Jay. Right. I don't think he didn't have enough to start his own situation. Mm-hmm. And I don't even expect him to. All I really was talking to really was Cam and Beans. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So when you sell the company, like I sold Rockefeller, Universal now owns it. You know what I'm saying? And I don't own Rockefeller no more. They make Jay the president of Def Jam, and of course Def Jam now owns Rockefeller. So that's his job now. You know what I'm saying? But because of my position, you know, I made it to where Cam could get off the label and get 3 distribution deals somewhere else. Beans was locked up. I went to Beans and was like, yo, it ain't no choosing no sides. You know what I'm saying? But set your own situation up. Right now you can. You know what I'm saying? Just let me know what you want me to do. I'm going to go ahead and do that for you. If you know this.
As a producer and founder of his own record label, Dash has earned the title of music mogul, and with his forays into fashion and film, he has brought hip-hop culture to a wider audience.